Happy Friday! Welcome back to Drinking by My Shelf. My name's Emma and today I am doing the Bookternet All-Star Charity Challenge, but with a twist. So this challenge was set up by Rachel Marie and I will link to her video about it below so that you can understand properly. But basically she's created this challenge to raise money for COVID-19 relief. So the idea is she's created a kind of checklist of 18 really popular authors and books that are super popular on BookTube or on the whole of the Bookternet. And the idea is anyone who wants to take part can either make a video or an Instagram picture or a Twitter post ticking off which ones they've read and talking about them or which ones they're planning to read, and then you submit your entry and donate to the charity. So I'll link to the charity page and everything below. I'm going to donate immediately after filming this. But here's my twist. I had a look at the checklist and I can only tick off 4.5 of the 18 books and authors. So I can tell you a bit about those, but I realised I just don't have much to say about the others on that list because all of them are books I'm not planning to read. They're all so far outside of my reading interest and taste that they're just not something that's on my radar, and I thought that would be quite a boring video of me just going through and being like, nope, haven't read, not planning to. So here's what I'm going to try and do instead. These are all really popular. I think they're mostly YA fantasy. They're very, very popular on BookTube. I've heard these names mentioned so many times, most of them at least. There are a couple on here that I've literally never heard of, which is wild considering they're apparently like favourites on BookTube and I've never heard of them. But mostly they're ones I've seen these names everywhere but know almost nothing about them. So the game I'm going to play is I'm going to go through this checklist and I'm going to try and tell you what I think these books are about without looking it up or knowing anything about them. I will look up the cover and that is it. And I'm going to tell you probably wildly inaccurate information. So first let me just tell you the ones I can actually tick off. I have read Angie Thomas. She's the author of The Hate U Give, which is a bloody brilliant book. I've talked about it a lot. I'll put some links below to videos where I talk about it properly with like the time codes and stuff so you can find it. I have read Adam Silvera. I think I've read almost all of his books. He wrote More Happy Than Not, which was my favourite. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, of course, was on here. Yes, I have read that. And I absolutely loved it. It's a 5-star read for me, so there I do massively align with BookTube. I've also read To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I've read the first 2 of the books. I listened to them on audio. I haven't read the 3rd one yet. I have plans for it, so I will definitely be reading it at some point, not too long from now. And then my half was that the Lunar Chronicles were on here, and I have read Cinder, or at least I've read most of Cinder. When I was at uni doing my masters, it was a women's studies masters, and I wrote my dissertation on young adult and middle grade fairy tale retellings and how they can be flipped to give women more agency. So I read Cinder as an option for one of the books that I might end up writing about, but I didn't end up including it in the dissertation, so I'm not even 100% sure that I finished it, which is why I gave it a half on that list. So those are the ones that I do vaguely know about. The rest, let's just see. So, the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. So I've got the cover up in front of me, that's all I've got here. These ones I know that Whitney from Witty Novels is obsessed with. Basically all I know about them. There's a long series. One of them came out quite recently and I think Whitney didn't like it as much. Either she didn't like it as much or she loved it the most is one of the two. All of the covers I can see here on Google all are a close-up eye or with like a weird blue background and all quite dramatic. So I think that these are about royalty. I mean, look at those jewels. I think it's going to be a love story. One of the people in the love story is going to be a prince/princess. There's a lot of clouds going on in all of the book covers, so maybe it's also set in the sky. I think this royal palace is in the sky. Oh, and that's how one of them gets shattered, falling from the palace to Earth, like in Stardust, falls to Earth and shatters. And then the rest of the series is about their journey back up to the castle to reunite with their love. Beautiful, what a beautiful story. Okay, well that's probably right. The next author is Leigh Bardugo. What has Leigh Bardugo written? Did she write Middle Game? No, that was the other one. Just Googling Leigh Bardugo. Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone, that's what they're called. Okay, so I think these are fantasy thrillers. Six of Crows is about a poker game in this fantasy realm. So the cards, because we're in a different world, cards are different. So instead of hearts and spades and clubs and diamonds, you have crows and sparrows and robins and doves. But the Six of Crows is like the cursed card. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Okay, next on the list is The Cruel Prince. Is this one by Holly Black? Is that her name? Oh my god, I get a prize if it is. It is by Holly Black. I am a Bookternet All-Star. So this one came out relatively recently. I feel like there was a big buzz about this one quite recently. So I'm looking at the cover. Oh, that makes me think Sleeping Beauty because of the thorns. There's a crown perched on the thorns, and what is that? A jewel? A bug? Is it a bug? Oh my god, it's a bug. Okay, so this is, I know what this is about. This is set in the Sleeping Beauty universe. So the princess who's lying asleep in the tower surrounded by thorns is actually not the real princess. She is a witch who took her form, just like in The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman. The actual princess was turned into that little green bug and just left to roam around the forest. And the only way she can be turned back into a princess, in classic fairy tale style, is that she has to make the prince fall in love with her while she's in the form of a beetle, which is hard to do. People don't tend to fall in love with beetles. So the prince who comes to rescue the princess, our little bug is following him around, trying to get him to fall in love with her. What happens next? I'm liking where the story is going. She, through a mixture of sexy beetle body language and a little bit of wing flapping Morse code, which she actually was able to understand a bit, has managed to make him, if not fall in love with her, he's definitely sexually confused by this beetle. So she's doing well. But as she gets to know him, she realises that he is a cruel prince. He's not a nice guy. And so she has to decide, does she make the true love vow and then be with this cruel prince forever, but she gets her body back and she gets to be a princess? Or does she turn him down because she doesn't want to be with him because he's cruel, keeps her integrity, but also has to remain a beetle forever, or until the next prince comes along, which might be another 1,000 years? I don't know what she chooses. I really want to know what she chooses. Next is The Bone Witch, which I have literally never heard of. So, looking at that picture, oh, there's a lot going on. There's a skull, and it says on the front, "Let me be clear, I never intended to raise my brother from his grave." Well, fantastic. That was a bit of a spoiler, wasn't it? We have a witch. She has a special power where she can control bones. And she didn't mean to raise her brother from his grave. She meant to raise her cat from his grave, who was in the next door grave. Am I basically just talking about Pet Sematary? Next on the list is Victoria Schwab. I've never read any of her books, but she wrote the Shades of Magic, A Darker Shade of Magic series. Is that the same series that has Vicious in it? We're going to say it is, because I can't bother to look it up at this point. So, unless I'm mistaken, I actually do think that these are fairy tale retellings. I think Vicious, at least, is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Is that in the same universe as A Darker Shade of Magic? So Vicious is basically Beauty and the Beast, but I think a dark version where the Beast is actually really vicious, but he has a heart of gold. This Savage Song, I'm going to say, is the sequel, and that one is a Snow White retelling. So you know the bit in Snow White where she has little birds help her get ready in the morning? It's that, but dark, because they sing and she thinks that they're just lovely birds helping her, but the song they're singing is this savage song which is slowly cursing her. What else did she write? A Darker Shade of Magic. That is a Pink Floyd retelling. That didn't make any sense. Okay, Cassandra Clare. She is beloved by Emma Books. Emma Books has lots of tattoos, which are all inspired by Cassandra Clare's books, I think. And they are called the Mortal Instruments series. So what I think I know about these is they're about shapeshifters. Is that the right one? I think these are about shapeshifters. So the fact that the title is His Mortal Instruments suggests that there do exist in this universe immortal instruments. And that's what the shapeshifters are. Okay, I've got it. So, in this universe, most instruments are actually immortal beings who shapeshift into them. So if you want to play the piano, that's cool. You just shapeshift your leg into a piano and then you play it. And also you're immortal, so that's cool. But there is this guy in these books who owns a collection of mortal instruments, which are muggle instruments. They're what we have. Every time he breaks one of his instruments, he loses a bit of his soul. I'm really running out of ideas. Laini Taylor is next, and she wrote Daughter of Smoke and Bone. That looks like something that was really popular when I was 12, that style of cover. This one is just set at a high school at a masked ball. Daughter of Smoke and Bone is the main character, and she just has a cool name because that's her username, her IM username. She's a fan fiction writer, way before fan fiction was cool. And it all culminates at the school masked ball when it turns out that the guy she's been speaking to online, whose username was Son of Milk and Sugar, it turns out he's actually a girl. And that's cool. Or is that just catfishing? I was wanting to have a cool queer love story, but that's just catfishing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Illuminae. Illuminae is a book that I'm actually moderately interested in reading, even though it's sci-fi, so I probably never will. But I've heard that it's a little bit like House of Leaves-esque in that it's quite meta, and it's like made up of a collection of documents, kind of like Night Film. So this one, I am fairly certain this one is set in space, and that it's like a collection of documents. So I'm going to say that this is the collection of documents that were found after this spaceship went missing on a mission, and now we're piecing together what happened to the people. I actually think that might be what it's about. Okay, next we have Scythe by Neal Shusterman, which I have heard of but don't know anything about. What is that? So from far off, I was going to say that this was 100% about a farmer, but now I look closely, it's 100% not about a farmer. That's what I can tell you with certainty. It's not about a farmer. I think it's about a lady in a cool red hood who is the Grim Reaper. That's what she is. So she is the Grim Reaper's daughter. Then the Grim Reaper died, which was interesting. He visited himself in a mirror by mistake. If you're the Grim Reaper, you're like never allowed to look in a mirror. He accidentally looked in a mirror, so he took himself to die. So his daughter had to take over, and there's never been a female Grim Reaper before, because there's never been any other Grim Reaper other than the one that existed. He managed for infinity to not look in a mirror until now. So now it's about her job, but it's like obviously way harder for her not to look at mirrors because she's a girl and all girls do is look at mirrors. Just joking. Sarah J. Maas is next. God, she's another one I hear you guys talk about all the time, and I don't know what she wrote. Throne of Glass. Wow. What I can tell you about Throne of Glass is that this is a book I would never read. Sassy blonde lady with swords in the Ice Age. So this, I'm going to say, is a historical fantasy set in the Ice Age, and just what you can't see on the cover but like was directly to her right are the little woolly mammoth and what's the little guy, what's Sid in Ice Age? Him. He's also there. So like the three of them go on this adventure to find the Throne of Glass, which they believe was left there by the gods as this test. Whoever first sits in the Throne of Glass will become ruler of the whole Ice Kingdom and will also propel the world into the next age, from the Ice Age to the Glass Age. But there's like a whole trilogy, so I don't think this lady wins. Next is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I have heard of this. It looks scary from this cover. There's a woman with very, very long flowy hair who is standing over a guy with a sword. She's fully about to kill him. An Ember in the Ashes. This one I've just decided is a Cinderella retelling, but it's like very loosely inspired. So in this version, Cinderella was like living her life being sad, but one day she was sweeping the ashes and she saw this ember that was still burning really, really brightly. So she collected it and found that the light never went out, and slowly, slowly it grew into a portal that took her through into this world where she met this guy. Then she killed him, and then she went home and made their dinner. It's a shit book. I would never read that book. Shannon Maguire is the next author, but I actually do know what she wrote. She wrote... do I know? I've forgotten. It's the one that's about like a school for children who've been to alternate worlds. So like Alice in Wonderland, who like fell down the rabbit hole and went to Wonderland, would then come back and be kind of traumatized and not be able to forget her experience, so she'd have to go to this school. I genuinely think that is what this is about, and I can't remember what they're called. Not Miss Pavisham's, what's that? It's not called Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It's called... I'm going to have to look it up because that's going to annoy me. Every Heart a Doorway. She wrote Every Heart a Doorway, which I think is actually about what I just said. And then finally, thank God we're finally at the last one. I know you are all as relieved as I am. This is called The Poppy War. I don't know what this is. I've never heard of that. So I've got a cover here of The Poppy War by RF Kuang. I hope that's the right book I'm supposed to be looking at. It says Woman, Warrior, Weapon, God on the front. So that's a good clue. So this is most likely about like a badass woman warrior. So that's cool. The fact that it's called The Poppy War confuses me because poppies I feel like are so associated with the world wars. So maybe it's a sort of alternate history retelling of the First World War. But also Woman, Warrior, Weapon, God. Is she all of these things? This woman is a warrior and also a weapon and also a god. What's that got to do with poppies? Honestly, I'm done. Please leave in the comments below what these books are actually about and if I was at all close with any of them. Also, if you would read any of the crap I just said, because then great, I'll go write it. I'm sorry that I subjected you to that. I'm now instantly going to go and donate to the fundraiser to make up for it, and I've put all of the info, as I said, below if you guys wanted to play along. See you next time.